Good evening and welcome to the August 25th Combined Neighborhood Watch Meeting and Amazing Citizen Award. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here in person, live on our Culpeper Facebook page, as well as Culpeper Media. Before we get started, I would like to recognize a few people in the audience that are here with us. We have Town Manager Chris Hively, who's here. Mayor Frank Reeves is here. We have Council members Megan Taylor and Janie Schmidt are here. I would also like to recognize the Director of the Rappahannock Rapidan Community Services, Mr. Jim McGrath. I would also like to thank the Director of the Free Clinic, Ms. Tammy McGrath, for also being here. I would like to thank one of our past amazing citizen recipients, Hank Mylans is here. I would also like to thank the Assistant Director of Culpeper Human Services, Ms. Sarah Berry is here. Also, retired police officer Nathaniel Jasper is also with us tonight. And I cannot forget about the man in the back, R.E. Dean. Oops, and he's in the back hiding. And Councilmember Eric Kalinga, who just snuck right in. We have a outstanding award duo recipient tonight, and also a excellent presentation and an excellent guest speaker. So before we go ahead and introduce our amazing citizen, we would like to show a quick video of what makes them so amazing.
Welcome to Culpeper, a town and county unlike any other. Pastoral views, a vibrant downtown, where destinations and activities abound. There is one aspect in particular that helps Culpeper rise above the rest: the people. Every day, all over the community, people are working to make a difference.
That extraordinary person that goes out of their way to make life better for other people.
To help others, to do for others, to get involved in the community in any way they can to see that things get done.
I think generous, faithful, dependable. You can call them and they come at any time. They are just always there to lend a hand and to comfort you when you need comforting and laugh with you when you need a good laugh,
I've never seen a more generous, selfless, kind and thoughtful couple.
I think they're some of the caringest people you will ever meet.
They just have an insatiable desire to serve.
Well, I think they've had a great impact. I mean, not just because of him being a pastor. I mean, I think that's been a lot of it, serving the different churches and being in contact with so many people and touching so many people's lives. But I mean, Sandy worked at VDOT over 30 years as well, and he had a lot of relationships there with the men and women he worked with, and then their families that kind of spawned off from that. Janice taught at Pearl Sample for a long time, so she touched a lot of kids' lives, I'm sure, over the years that run into her. You mentioned Sandy or Janice Martin, and there's not too many people, if they don't know them, they have heard about them.
They're like magnets. I mean, people want to gravitate toward them because they're such kind and thoughtful and interesting people to be around.
Their commitment to their faith, I think, drives them to do that. And being able to step out and, execute on their faith. I think it's the execution of what their beliefs and their values and the morals of them personally, of how they'll step out and help other people.
They love people and they love their friends and their family, and they're just so devoted to others, and I think that drives them to continue on doing that, really.
Some of the things that he's done behind the scenes for the PD, coming out to scenes of traumatic events, coming out to the office every Sunday for years and years, and would just sit there and talk and give a little bit of encouragement to us, the new guys, or even the old guys like myself there. It meant a lot for him to do that because, Sandy's just one of those guys that you can't replace.
The thing with being a pastor, kind of like police work, it's a 24-hour-a-day thing, and you are always present in the best of someone's life and in the worst times of their life. So I can say that Janice and Sandy have always been there through the good and the bad, and you always know that you can depend on them and you can call at any time, and they're always willing to help and to listen.
And he was always visiting people who were sick and afflicted. And whether they were in his church or not, he would go and visit people. And that's, that says a lot for Sandy and his ability.
He would go in and visit a congregant and pray over them. But he would go down the hallway and pop in any room. It didn't matter if they were part of the congregation or not. That's Sandy Martin. And we had a young boy in our congregation who was diagnosed with leukemia. And it required his to stay at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And Sandy, he was up there, he drove, and sometimes he stayed 2 or 3, 4 nights a week. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Janice, on the other hand, she was always playing the piano at church, enjoyed singing, leading the choir, being a choir director. I think that kind of rounds out the person that is giving back to their community.
And being a pastor's wife is kind of like being a policeman's wife. It's a 24-hour where you have to be willing to give up a lot of family time and everything to other people in need, but they do it so graciously.
I think for us, what we have to do is we'd have to thank her. We'd have to thank her for letting us have him for so long. She's a super strong woman too. I can remember her coming to all the dinners, all the awards banquets, all the things to support the police department, but also supporting Sandy in his role with the police department. So
She's a friend. She's someone that you can call on if all you need to do is talk. She's there for you.
They are a duo. Janice is just as integral part as the community as Sandy is. They have touched so many lives. It's immeasurable.
I would definitely say congratulations. I can't think of 2 people who deserve it more. I've appreciated your friendship over the years, and you've meant a lot to me, and I love you both.
I would like to say to him, thank you for being in my life, for the privilege of knowing you, being able to socialize and spend time with you as a couple and individually, and your sons.
I'm just so happy and so honored to be part of this for you tonight, and for thanking you for being the amazing citizens that you are.
everything they do, everything you guys do is worth $1 million, as far as we're concerned.
I cannot think of any more worthy couple in this community that's more deserving of this award.
Sandy and Janice, congratulations on this award. And I know that you two do not do what you do to get an award or accolades. You do it because your heart leads you to do it. I just want to say thank you, and it's a pleasure knowing both of you.
Wow. I want to say congratulations to both of you. At this time, I will have Major Settle come up.
Good evening. Before we get to the fun part, one quick story about Sandy Martin and Janice Martin I'll share real quick before I turn it over to the heavy hitters. Rookie cop, 1998, maybe 1999, Christmas night. I'm a rookie, I'm working Christmas night, right? I work a struck pedestrian fatality right in front of West Side Grocery. And I say, my gosh, it's Christmas night, I gotta make a death notification to a family, what I'm gonna do. Sandy, our pastor for a long time, called Sandy up, had his entire family at his house. Obviously, Christmas is a very important holiday for him and his family. Called him up. He said, no problem. He goes, come pick me up. And we knew that the entire family of the deceased was having a get-together on Christmas night. It was probably about 20 people. I don't know if Sandy remembers this or not. And it's about 20 people in the house. And I picked them up. Janice says, go do what you got to do. We stayed at that house for about an hour, and Sandy prayed with that family for an hour and consoled them, and even followed up. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was Christmas night. I'll never forget it. From my career, I'll never forget it, and that's a story. When Sandy Martin comes up, I always think of that story. So thank you for being there for me, and thank you for being there for us. So, fun stuff. Before I call our Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger up, I'm going to recognize Mark Reborden with her team, and Mackenzie Heidelmark with her team also here. Mark usually does this presentation, but we're going to put him on the sideline tonight, and we got a relief pitcher coming in. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ms. Spanberger, our 7th District Congresswoman, to come up here for a special presentation for our amazing citizen.
Thank you so much for letting me join the festivities. Normally, we're on Capitol Hill voting during the week during these ceremonies, but I have heard about how amazing they are from Mark, and that story is extraordinary. And I want to thank you for setting such an extraordinary example for all of us who continue to focus on community service or public service. Thank you for leading by example in the community. And so to thank you, we have an official letter. Just recognizing how important you both are. The work that you have done with Habitat for Humanity, the work that you have done with the Little League, the work that you have done leading sermons and playing at weddings and bringing community members together. I am grateful for the example that you set, and I am so pleased to be here for this celebration to honor you. The words that were spoken in that video were so incredibly beautiful, and it's just an honor to be able to be among the many voices saying congratulations on this recognition, but most importantly, thank you for living a life of service regardless of who's watching. Thank you.
The next heavy hitter I'm going to bring up is our Chief Chris Jenkins, who recently served his 45th year anniversary in law enforcement here at the Culpeper Police Department. So I'll call the Chief up.
Lieutenant, you'll be working Christmas this year as well. We'll talk about that. Geez, following the Congresswoman is a tough act, but to Janice and to Sandy, it's always neat to follow the video because there's nothing I can hardly add to that from what everyone else had said. You have both given of yourself unselfishly for a lifetime in this community to natives of Culpeper, and we count Richardsville as part of Culpeper. So. But you unselfishly have given of yourself so much, and many folks have seen you stand at this very podium to celebrate awards, promotions, and the good times. But what most folks don't see is what the Major was talking about. When I've called you at the last minute in minutes, and you never asked where we're going, and we would end up in Fairfax or UVA or wherever we would end up, or making that death scene notification, you made my job so much easier. And So tonight is an opportunity that the entire community, you can tell this room, I mean, it's packed. We're in the folks outside as well. So they're here to say thank you for all that you have done for our community. But I was, this afternoon, I was trying to think of a story maybe no one has ever heard to share. And I remember a few years back, before your granddaughter over here was born, Sandy worked from, both of them, Janice as well, their game plan was to work from sun up to sundown until you pass out and you get up the next day and you do this again. Am I right? That was, Janice, you told me, was your game plan. I know. So a number of years ago, like I said, before your granddaughter, I want to preference that, I had a number of folks that works, guys and gals that came into my office, and I always get leery when folks come in as a group, because I'm in for it, I know. So they were talking about how much Sandy had, I mean, you've been over 20, probably 25 years, that chaplain here, I think, or maybe more than that. And you're the minister for many of us in here, aside from that. So they came into my office and they said, you know, Sandy has given so much. You know, Sandy needs to slow down. You know, we need to slow down, and we all know how many people in here has played golf for Sandy? Yeah, a number of folks have played golf for Sandy. And we know he loves to play golf. So we think that you need to go talk to Sandy about slowing down, even mentioning retirement, and mention him playing more golf. And they decided that it would be me that would have to go and have this conversation. I said, gosh, why do you want me to do this? But so I agreed, and I called Sandy. We set up a golf day, just me and him, and we went up to Green Hills. Beautiful day. Of course, you take a preacher with you, you always get great weather. I left the umbrella at home and everything, and we went out to play golf up at Green Hills, and I have to tell you, it was an outing like I have never experienced in my life. So we get out there, and I think it was the first or second hole. You probably remember this. And it was a group in front of us. Well, Sandy hit into them. And I heard this awful yelling and screaming that, you know, he'd hit somebody there. And I don't think he heard it, you know. And so I'm apologizing and hoping they're not an angry group. A few holes later, he drives the ball and he hits something. The ball goes backwards and he hits the group behind us. And now I'm getting a little worried now, because they look really big, folks back there. And so we go on, we play, we continue to play, and I'm gonna tell you, he lost between the woods and the water. He had lost every single ball he brought that day. And I said, we'll stop at the turn and go in the pro shop. We'll get him some more balls. And he said, well, you know, they're expensive here. Can you stop at the driving range and we'll pick up a few balls at the driving range, and we'll finish the day off with some of those yellow balls up there. If you've been to Green Hills, they all have yellow practice balls. So we go up there to do that. So we got through the day. Nobody got killed. Nobody got hurt. Nobody threw anything at us or anything. So we got finished, and then I knew, oh gosh, now I'm that dreaded conversation I'm gonna have to have with Sandy. So we have it, and you know, it goes real well. And a day or so later, this whole group that had come in my office, they come back again. They said, well, how did it go? I said, I'm gonna tell you the truth, it went better than I had expected. I talked with Sandy, and he has agreed to work another 5 years, not retire, and he's not going to play golf until he retires. So that's my golf story. And then his granddaughter came, so he never plays golf anymore. So you can go to Green Hills or wherever, and you can play very safe. So that's my story. And now I'm going to stick to it. And nobody else was there, so I left out a few things there, but it is really our time to honor both of you. So we're going to ask that you step up here and receive a few tokens of our appreciation from a very grateful community. I told Sandy earlier at the end, we normally give them an opportunity to say a few words. So we're going to take Sandy's time and give it to Janice because I'm not giving the microphone to a Baptist preacher. Not yet, not yet.
You and I are not through.
You got some good ones for us?
Yeah, I don't like to public speak.
Me either. That's why I care. That's where I care. Settle with me everywhere I go. We got to do this now. We're too far. Can't quit. So I don't have my glasses on, but I'm gonna try to read this. And it is with great honor that we present to a great. Y'all are just a dynamic duo couple. Is Sandy and Janice Martin with our Amazing Citizen Award. Now this lasts forever. I don't know. Somebody asked me, well, how long does Amazing Citizen Award last? Is it, just 30 days or something? This is forever, okay? That's not long. I'm right behind. In recognition of your endless efforts, dedication to community outreach and involvement, the Culpeper Police Department and the community we serve appreciates your dedication and unconditional support. Your commitment to community service truly epitomizes what makes you an amazing citizen. Congratulations to this outstanding accomplishment, August of 2022. No. You're not getting out of here that easy. This is Vanna here. He does all of that for us. So when we came up with sort of this community came up with wanting this, we had a number of folks, to be honest with you, there's people that are calling us in a community, grateful community. We have a great community, as you can see here today. We have a lot of business folks and people that want to call us to support this and be able to share in this occasion. So we have you can see our board here, and we really have outgrown the number of sponsors. This is kind of, hopefully we can get Ashley and his group to update this. But for some reason, the major always likes to go to the Green Roost first. Don't know why, but located down on our historical Davis Street, and they would like to present.
That's good.
A nice gift. And I have to tell you, I mean, I love all these businesses, but the one business that's been the same since I grew up here, and both of you grew up here. I know you were in town. You're in town. Yeah, we're gonna run you for something. Knackles Bakery. Normally, I make my recommendations, the Bismarcks or whatever, but y'all both know everything they have. I know Sandy does, because he's hung around a police station long enough. He knows we're very well taken care of. Moving Meadows down on Main Street in Culpeper, right. They're actually part of the old State Theater, and I have to tell you that one of the best cheeseburgers you will ever get. Cinnamon buns, hand apple pies, if you haven't tried one. I haven't tried anything I don't like, and I'm sure, Sandy, you won't either. So they say congratulations. That's right, you're not a cheeseburger guy, yeah. Hold the cheese. Shenandoah Garden green spot is there, as you both remember it as being the old Kentucky Fried Chicken in town, and now it is absolutely beautiful. He keeps it very seasonal, and he's a great sponsor of our Amazing Citizen Award. So we have a nice.
We have a gift certificate here, so you can buy something nice for Janice, and we have the roses for Janice.
Yeah, Scott couldn't be here. Our local funeral director couldn't be here, but Janice works here part-time. It's about time. Restaurant down on Davis Street.
Yes.
for two. Janice, if you need somebody to go, just give me a call. You got my number. So, am I missing anything there, Captain? Are we good, Lieutenant? So again, this is just a small token for a lifetime of giving, and we know you're not done yet. No. You know, yeah. We're just going to keep you off the golf course and keep you in the police station, and everybody will be much better off. So, Janice, this is your time.
You know I don't like to talk in public, don't it, Chief?
When did that happen? You told me to do it.
Sandy always puts everything on me that he doesn't like to do. It's always been that way.
Yeah, I'll say that.
And the reason we're still together, I let him do it. I cannot thank you guys enough. I grew most of my life in Culpeper. I came from Remington, which I loved, but I was just a kid. So Culpeper's always been my life. You couldn't take me out except in a body box. Scott will do it. Scott's just saying, how long, Janice? But I want to thank everybody for coming out for this special event and thank everybody that participated in it. And I love Culpeper, and that's all I can say. Just remember, don't try to get me out of it. Thank you.
I can say a few words. I won't preach a sermon. Something good happened here tonight, though. Huh? My wife finally got to meet the other woman. She kept saying, "Who is that Abigail that keeps calling you?" And I had a so now she knows. Again, I thank you. It's been a great ride. You know, I've always loved it. I love to go on, run under the radar, not for recognition, just because of give back. You know, because God has blessed me completely. I was something like 8 months old before I came out of the Children's Hospital in Washington. And so I was given life, and so I'm just trying to return that to the people I love. I truly enjoyed my 25 years at the police department. I don't know half of you anymore.
That's why we give name tags. Saying, I don't know.
And 48 years of preaching in the ministry, and it's been a wonderful ride. And thank my wife for one thing, for raising 2 young men. Of course, one of them's gone. I was an absentee father, you know, because I was busy serving the community, Little League football and neighborhood, and then Habitat for Humanity and so many other things. But she encouraged me, and she did a great job in raising her family. And I certainly thank you for that, honey. I love you. But again, thank you for these wonderful things, and I'll keep the certificates. And no more golf stories.
Well, I could tell you about the time I took Alan Rasmussen out to play golf, but he actually hit somebody, but.
So that wraps up our Amazing Citizen portion of tonight's programming. We're going to take about a 10-minute break, and we're going to take some photos with Sandy and Janice, with their family and some members of the PD and members of the community, and we'll take about a 10-minute break. After the 10-minute break, then we have a Representative Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger will give a presentation on constituent services, and she'll give a presentation, and she'll be available to answer any questions you have. And we do have questions come in online as well, so we'll be asking those questions as well on our Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, shoot those questions out, and we'll get them answered for you as best we can. So we'll take a 10-minute break. There's food left, water, desserts, brownies I saw. So help yourself, and we're going to take some pictures, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Congratulations, Sandy and Janice.
We'll go ahead and get the meeting started back again. I want to thank everyone for staying, and we'll go ahead and begin. I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Mrs. Abigail Spanberger, the Virginia's 7th District Congresswoman. She will be doing a presentation on providing information on constituent services through the federal government and answering any questions. Thank you.
Oh. Well, I, of course, want to talk about constituent services, but before I get started talking about constituent services, waiting on the chief. Okay, so I'm really excited to be able to be here this evening. So frequently during weeknight events like this, I'm on Capitol Hill with evening votes, but August presents a great opportunity to be in town. And so I have stolen Mark's joy because he had a PowerPoint presentation all about constituent services that he was very excited to present. But instead, I'm going to go through some of the constituent service aspects. But before I do that, I am going to take a little bit of the opportunity to ask the chief to come up. Because I'm sure you all know that Chief Jenkins just celebrated his 45th anniversary with the Culpeper Police Department. So we entered into the congressional record a commemoration of his service, and it says, "Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize Chief Chris Jenkins on his 45th anniversary of service to Virginia with the Culpeper Police Department. On August 15th, 1977, Chris Jenkins began his law enforcement career at age 18, serving the town of Culpeper as a dispatcher. In the 45 years since, Chief Jenkins has honorably served his community and worked to make Culpeper a safer place to live and raise a family. Chief Jenkins was first appointed as the Culpeper Police Department's 5th Chief of Police in 2010. In this role, he has implemented many successful programs, including a community policing model, mental health co-responders, and body-worn cameras. Beyond his career, Chief Jenkins has also helped raise thousands of dollars for local nonprofits, such as Team Jordan, a coalition which supports suicide prevention and response in Culpeper. And he has served on multiple boards and committees in support of his community. His dedication and integrity is inspiring and deserving of commendation and celebration. Please join me in congratulating Chief Jenkins on 45 successful years in law enforcement and a lifetime of making Culpeper a better place." And to go with it, we also have a flag that was flown over the United States Capitol to thank you for all that you do for Culpeper, for the Commonwealth, and for our country, and for setting such a wonderful example. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't take but a second because I know absolutely everyone in this room and the commitment that everybody in this room. Nate Jasper was my first sergeant who took an 18-year-old kid and taught him not only how to be a man, but how to be a cop. And I look up to people like Nate Jasper, and I've grown up with so many folks in this room with the greatest respect and admiration. And it's been an honor to serve. It's never felt like work, and I'm just privileged to work for the town manager, Chris Hively, and the council that we have. Culpeper has a lot of great things going on. I tell folks all the time, it's not the great restaurants, the great shops that makes Culpeper the special place. It is absolutely the people that makes Culpeper the place that it is. And it's an honor to be the police chief here and to have grown up here. And though my days are short, I will always be here and will always serve this community until the last day, until I'm like Sandy, until they wheel me out of here. So Representative Spanberger, it means a great deal that you joined us this evening and the great work that you're doing in Washington to represent this community and make this community the place that it is, with substance abuse and mental health issues and the things that are really affecting our community every single day. is that we have someone in Washington that's advocating for us to make us a better community. And for that, from a Republican, I support Abigail Spanberger. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you. And I am really grateful for everything that the town of Culpeper and the police department have done, frankly, to assist our office. We have done and passed legislation. We're hoping to get a vote next month in the Senate on legislation that will provide tremendous resources in our ongoing work to fight the opioid crisis, substance use disorders in our community, and to deal with mental health crises. And frankly, so much of the work and the legislation that we wrote was a direct result of conversations with leaders like Chief Jenkins and Major Settle, talking about the on-the-ground experiences that the law enforcement community is having, particularly when they are on the front lines of responding to the crises in people's homes. And so I'm thankful to this department and certainly to the other departments that we've worked with to help us draft this legislation, which has passed the United States House with bipartisan support, and we're pushing for it to get a vote in the Senate. But it would have just a meaningful impact, providing support to first responders, providing support to mental health related services, providing support to police departments across the country as they continue to be on the front lines of dealing with issues in our community and supporting those who are working for their recovery. But today I'm really excited to have the chance to just give a little bit of an overview about constituent services. Constituent services is a strong element of the work that our team does, and frequently we've mentioned Mark and we've mentioned Mackenzie. Mark and Mackenzie both work in our district office, and they spend time across the county that I represent, ensuring that people know that we are ready and we stand ready to help in support of any challenges someone might be facing with a federal agency. So anything from postal related issues to the IRS, to visa related issues, to VA, to Medicare. And the way that it works is if you or if someone you know is having a challenge, with a federal agency, we frequently work with people who, particularly after the loss of a spouse or a loved one, are facing difficulties dealing with the IRS or getting VA benefits as a surviving spouse. We can work with you, open a case, and then we help basically work with the system as people are, in fact, applying for whatever benefits they have earned or that they deserve. At this point, in the 3.5 years that I have been in office, our office has returned, we just hit yesterday, $20 million returned to constituents. And those are dollars that veterans are supposed to get because of a disability recognition. Those are dollars that someone is supposed to get because of their retirement with OPM. Those are dollars that people are supposed to get because of reimbursements with Medicare that they face, unfortunately, sort of brick wall after brick wall. And we have incredible people in our office who take it on as a personal point of joy and pride to make sure that when we open a case, we close it and are part of delivering good news. We also have a community-based model, so the reason that many of you may have seen Mark here frequently is Mark is focused on Culpeper. So it's Mark's job to know everything about Culpeper at any point in time. And typically speaking, he's pretty good at that. We work on a variety of issues that when someone comes to us and says, I've got this issue, and I do want to point out Mr. Bunker who's here, because in addition to constituent services, typically I'm having trouble with Medicare, okay, we help. I'm having trouble with the VA, okay, we help. But every once in a while a constituent raises an issue with us and we say, well, we actually don't have an avenue to help because you've just identified a loophole or a problem in the system that shouldn't be there. And this has been well documented. We've talked to press multiple times, so I'm going to mention it. It's not sharing any personal details. But for some people who retire from typically smaller police departments, fire departments, or school systems, depending upon how one's pension is structured and paid out, and this was the case, he called us up and said, do you know that there's all this money that I should be getting, that I'm eligible for these related to taxes and healthcare coverage, and I'm getting denied because of the fact that my police department, from which I retired, uses this third-party entity to pay my pension. And we looked into it. Surely that can't be the case, right? What is it, $45,000 that you would otherwise be receiving? Surely that can't be the case. No, it's the case. The problem is it's a person here, a person there, everybody he would have retired with from his former department. And the problem is little enough that there's not enough of a kind of push to get it fixed. Well, once we identify the problem, we wrote legislation, and we're working on getting it fixed. Bipartisan, because frankly the problem is also pretty regional depending upon the way that localities, so it's a big problem in Virginia, it's a big problem in Ohio and different states. But I use this as a point to illustrate that even if you think, oh, this isn't a question of the IRS, oh, this isn't my mail delivery is a little bit late, this is something else. Well, sometimes that's something else. If you've got that problem, maybe somebody else does as well. And so there's been a number of issues related to veteran toxic exposure where we have written legislation because a problem that one constituent has is a problem that exists in other communities. And so I want to thank people who do kind of ring the alarm bell and say, do you know this is an issue? But it's just very important that people know that this is a service that we provide. Mackenzie, Mark, and the other team of folks who work in our office frequently do mobile office hours so that people don't have to come to us. So frequently they'll do mobile office hours and be in libraries or public spaces. We will usually try to advertise that on our Facebook page. We have a newsletter. If you go to spanberger.house.gov, you sign up for the newsletter and get that information and find out when and where we might be in the area. But you can always call our office at any point in time, and we will make sure that we will get started on delivering whatever services that you all may need. So with that, I want to thank you. I am very sorry to have denied you a PowerPoint presentation. But it is wonderful to be here with you all. And if there's, could Mark and Mackenzie just walk up to the front so people can put names with faces and not have to spin around. And Mark, could you also just talk about the issues that you typically work?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys. So typically the issues that I work personally as a caseworker, immigration and education issues. And we all kind of are cross-trained on a lot of things. So, regardless of the federal agency, we have someone in the office who's experienced in those issues that constituents are facing and can provide some resources if we can't directly assist, or just be able to directly assist with whatever you might be facing with a federal agency. And if you don't mind, I just want to go over Service Academy. And yeah, so I also wanted to talk just briefly about a couple student-focused programs that we run, that all congressional offices run. The first one is Service Academy. So prospective students going into any of the branches of the military's military academies, they require nominations from a congressional office, an office like ours, or the two senators. So we put together a panel every year of applicants who apply to our office, and they select who we nominate to service the various service academies. So if you have someone or know someone who is a prospective applicant, have them reach out to our office, and we'd be happy to answer any questions about that. We also have a congressional art competition that we hold every year. And the winner of that art competition gets to hang their piece of art in the Capitol for a whole year. So it's a great opportunity to kind of show off the arts and get some students the recognition that they deserve for great pieces of work. And we also hold a congressional app challenge as well. So if there's any questions about those, we'll be here after as well, or you could reach out to our office, call, or go on our website. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Hi everyone, I primarily handle post office casework as well as VA and armed services casework, and I handle SBA as well, which isn't as needed anymore. PPP loans and EIDLs are closed at the moment, but if anyone has any questions, please let us know. We are always here to take calls and try and help as best we can.
Thank you so much. If there's any questions that we can answer about this, either here or after the meeting, we're happy to do so. Okay.
So if you have any from the audience to answer first while we pull those up.
Perfect.
We'll start with that.
And on the Service Academy, typically, I'll add to this. If a student thinks that they might be interested in attending one of the service academies, it's never too early to be in touch with our office to find out what the process is. The process for applying to service academies is different than process used to apply to other schools in terms of the timeline. So we want to make sure that people have as much time as possible if they think that that might be of interest. And typically, and it's ebbed and flowed a little bit. We've done it in person, we've done it online, but we'll also do information setting sessions for students and parents who want to find out what the process is. But anyone who's just begun their junior year, they would be applying next year. But anyone who thinks they might want to apply this year should be in touch very quickly. But certainly we welcome any underclassmen also to learn about the process. And so they can be prepared during their senior year.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. The first question I believe you actually already answered, which was a request for an update on your work with the police retirement law that you have. Okay. So I think that was pretty thoroughly covered. The second question was to speak to the high cost of college. Would you be willing to support the waiving of degree requirements for entry-level federal jobs such as a GS7 rank? This person says you can't get a job as a file clerk without a degree.
So the answer to that question is absolutely. I'm happy to follow up with this person as well, depending upon the agency. I have met some pretty impressive, I'll say young people, working on Capitol Hill in some of the different departments. One, for example, working in the, I don't need to get identifying, but in working in different committee-related positions who I know don't have degrees. But certainly I think that there's a variety of different types of experiences that people bring to the table that should ensure that they have a good opportunity to interview and demonstrate how competitive they are. But we can connect afterwards and I'll find out who that person was so we can follow up with them as well if they have a particular circumstance. So thank you so much. I think that was, yes.
You may or not want to answer this question, but I see you everywhere in the newspaper, and I'm so thrilled that you are doing all of this publicity. My concern is you know what the atmosphere is and how the television is portraying the work in Congress. And I just wanted your personal opinion as to how you think things are they getting better? Is it just like off the charts, or are you seeing a good relationship between the two parties? I guess is what I'm asking. In some cases,
Yeah.
I know there are stringent sides on both sides.
Well, I think that there are a lot of challenges. And honestly, I think, speaking very frankly, after January 6th, things got even more tense on Capitol Hill. But I don't think it's acceptable that we would just sort of go into corners and not work together. Also, basic math requires that if we're going to pass legislation, we have to agree. And so I do a couple things. So I'm the vice chair of a group called the Problem Solvers Caucus. Sometimes on Capitol Hill, we're called the Problem Starters Caucus. I won't identify who's called us that, but you might be able to guess. And we are half Democrats, half Republicans. When we're on Capitol Hill, we meet together at least once a week. We've tried to do Zoom meetings, but those get hard to line up when we're not there. We have breakfast, we have lunch, we talk about issues, we invite speakers, and we try to find places where we can partner. And the principle is we're trying to build a community of trust. We make a commitment not to campaign against each other, not to donate or support each other's opponents. And we're currently 28 and 28. And I'm a vice chair of that, so there's 2 chairs, one on each side, and then there's 3 vice chairs. And I really believe in that. It's great to be able to say to a colleague and a friend, okay, this is legislation I'm thinking of, like from your perspective that might be different from mine, either because of the state you come from or the ideology and your sort of political leaning. What do you think? And I have found on various different pieces of legislation that having those conversations helps to make sure that you're looking at potential blind spots that, you know, I might have from my perspective. But it also makes sure that if you want a piece of legislation to pass through the House and ultimately pass the Senate, the best way to do that is to front load the largest coalition that you can. So things are very difficult, and there are some folks who want to be flamethrowers. I have inherited my father's very low blood pressure, so I am very, very eager to be frank and have difficult conversations with colleagues. But you know, at the end of the day, we were essentially hired by the people to get stuff done, and that means building coalitions wherever we can. I have one colleague who I work with, and I'll name names, Chip Roy from Texas. We have almost no areas of overlap in terms of the things we advocate for. And if you follow him on social media, that will be very clear to you very quickly. We have the same birthday, and we both went to UVA and like UVA basketball. And we also don't think that members of Congress should buy or sell or trade stocks. That's it. That's pretty much it. So that's and actually, in fairness, we are both very strong on issues of authorized use of military force. So we have worked on legislation related to authorization of use of military force and the requirement that Congress be involved and not just cede responsibility to administration after administration. So we've written joint op-eds on that, and we've introduced legislation that would ban members of Congress from being able to buy and sell stock. And we joke about the fact that that's pretty much it that we agree on. But for the time being, that's it for now. You know, who knows? Maybe in a year there's something else.
You've just been recognized, haven't you, as being bipartisan?
Yes. So
Congress, right?
that's right. The Lugar Center is a group that does rankings of members of Congress, and so I'm the fifth most bipartisan member of Congress per the Lugar Center. But since their ratings came out, Antonio Delgado, who's a member from New York, is now the lieutenant governor. So I feel like through attrition, I might have promoted myself to 4 after he left Congress. I don't think that's official, but and also the most bipartisan member of the Virginia delegation. And then there's a couple other entities that have ranked me. Also, one ranking has me as the most bipartisan, but I typically refer to the Lugar Center because that's the one that most people know. And their rating methodology is kind of out there and very well respected over time. So, yeah.
Well, I'm very proud that you represent.
Thank you. And I would say, you know, in any work, marriage, family setting, like it's as though politics is the only place where we just expect that it's okay that people can't get along. You know, and if I don't agree with my husband on everything, then how am I going to agree with, you know, 434 colleagues on everything? So that's supposed to be what makes us stronger, and that's at least what I endeavor to make true in my day-to-day. But thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes.
One comment that's often made by opponents is that you vote with Nancy Pelosi, and it's amazing how high that percentage is. What is the reality of that? And in your defense, why are you voting with her, and what do you see as important in that vote?
Well, thank you for asking this question. I'll be sassy for a minute. I might vote with her, but I did not vote for her to be Speaker. So it's the Democratic Party's in charge of the House, so the Democratic Party brings the votes that come to the floor. Also, we have had significantly fewer votes in suspension bills and you know, things like post office namings along the way. Since COVID, we're starting to really ramp up again now that we can have a full quantity of people on the floor. But what is frequently not mentioned in that is the Speaker of the House typically votes on major items. So the Speaker of the House doesn't always cast votes. What's also not mentioned is I also vote with the Republican leader about half the time. So it isn't a binary choice. It isn't yes or no. It's that there's actually plenty of places where we agree, and when there are the bills that are coming forward. What is lost in that analysis is the amount of times that people actually agree. And so I've actually gone through and looked at various different numbers of my colleagues across the aisle, some of whom I vote with 60% of the time, some of whom 40-something% of the time, because there's plenty of places where people really come together. So, thank you. The chief wants to say something.
Sorry. Last night I was watching a baseball game and I flipped between commercials and I heard a lot of negative talk about the student federal loan forgiveness. My daughter sits in the front row. She will benefit from that, as so many of our young police officers in this building will benefit from that forgiveness. I'm shocked that there's so much negativity towards that forgiveness varying all the time. Any comments on that, or?
I do have comments on that. I think that, it's a program that is going to help a lot of people. It's a program that recognizes that there's been significant hardships that people have faced. I would note that some of my colleagues who are most adamantly opposed to it were not opposed when we voted to give billions of dollars of loans to businesses, which I fully supported and voted for, and then made those loans forgivable. In fact, some of my colleagues who have businesses outside of being members of Congress themselves received millions of dollars of forgiven loans. And so I think that it's a complicated issue. It's certainly an issue that sparks a lot of emotions. It is an issue that I recognize the challenges that people face, but this is also about kind of continuing our economic recovery, and it's not just about young people. There are people of all ages who continue to have significant educational debt that impacts their ability to buy a home, invest in a community, perhaps even make career changes and choices. But for me, there's two important pieces. One, the executive order doesn't address the reality that college affordability continues to be an issue, and that the cost of a four-year degree has risen exponentially compared to a younger worker's starting salary. And so to me, there is a Band-Aid element. It's a point-in-time reaction. And so I hear that criticism because I agree with that criticism, that we have to also ensure that we're looking at the problem long-term and addressing it. And then I think inherent in some of the discussion is, I want to ensure that for people who choose not to go to a four-year school, or for people for whom that's not the path to a great job and a career where they're adding great benefit to our communities and our societies, that we're recognizing the value of all careers and all paths. And so as we continue to have a bit of a conversation and a debate about this issue, I do think it's important that we dig into, and a colleague of mine just introduced, I think, pretty important legislation trying to make reforms to the way federal student loans work into the future. And then also, I continue to be a major advocate for programs and investments related to apprenticeships and internship programs for students for whom a four-year degree might not be necessary or isn't the path that they want to take. But thank you for raising this one, and I appreciate the personal example.
So the last question of the night is, if constituents want to get in touch with you to discuss services, what is the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so they are welcome to go to our website if you want, but I know broadband connectivity can be an issue, so also website if you want. But also, which I'm still working on that. I had a caller from Culpeper call my town hall last night. I'm still working on that. But also, you can call our office 804-401-4110. And somebody will answer the phone. You tell them what their issue is, or your issue is, and we'll make sure that you get to the right person. So 804-401-4110. Yeah. Thank you.
Give me the 2-minute warning, man.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm the only one here beat up and gimped, and he's gonna pull me up late.
That's why I gave you an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. So I have little piece that we go over each time for kind of the events that the police department is putting together, or we're partnering with somebody. And this time, we've actually partnered with Councilman Kalinga's church and Department of Social Services. And this is kind of a project-based system, I guess you could call it. It's they named it One Love Culpeper, and it has a couple components to it. So if you're a contractor or if you're somebody that has a skill set, you can fill out a form and add that to the to this program. And then if you want a project done, something like yard work or building ramps or help with your deck, something that needs to be fixed around your house, you can submit that to this project, and we'll pick a few of those. And the police department has a bunch of guys that are going to help with rebuilding things or adding things to someone's house or whatever the case may be. So the first date for this is Saturday, November the 5th, and he's going to kick that off. Pastor Kalinga is going to kick that off at Mountain View Community Church, and it starts at 8 o'clock that morning, and then we'll take off and break into the groups. However many volunteers we get, we'll break into the groups and we'll go to these different projects. So if you're interested in having anything done, you can get with me or get with Ashley or Pastor Kalinga, and we'll get you the forms that you need to fill out to get these projects done. So it's a big help. I mean, it's obviously one of those things that people pay a lot of money to get this service, and we have a lot of skilled people within our agency and I'm sure in the churches that are going to be able to help out with this. So any questions? I have the flyers if anybody wants one in the back about the first day event, and then we can get you the paperwork for if you want to volunteer or if you want a project submitted. Thanks. And I'll take my 2-minute warning on back.
Before we close the meeting, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. Again, for anyone that has any questions or need to see this again, Culpeper Media is playing this, and it will be on their channel. Let's see. Just upcoming events for the police department. This Saturday, the 27th, from 12 to 3, we will be at the Dairy Queen with Cones for Cops. And on, let's see, September 2nd, Town East Davis Street is doing their First Fridays. On October 9th, we will also be doing Cones with Cops again on Friday, the 9th, from 5 to 8 at Dairy Queen. On the 10th, the Blue and Red Santa Project is doing an event at Target at 7 a.m. for Dress for Success. And on the 15th of the month, CRI is hosting the last Thursday concert. The next combined neighborhood watch meeting will be October 27th here at the PD. The guest speaker will be Jason Mayers of the Office of the Attorney General to speak on programs and resources. So stay tuned for that meeting as he will be our guest speaker. So without further ado, while everyone is here, I know everyone came for the door prizes. So Sergeant Caruso, MPO Cole, and MPO Grant will be out tickets for door prizes. So once those have been given out, we'll go ahead and get started with the door prizes.